Premier Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today. And remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.
Good evening once again, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight we got a good one here. It is the race number 12 of the American Sim Racing Street Stock Series here tonight at Langley. This one happened last Wednesday, so this is going to get everyone set on up and ready for the championship race coming up this Wednesday night. First and foremost, we will run through tonight's starting lineup here, and it will look like the following. The 86 machine of Stephen Hoffman will lead the field to the green flag. To his outside will be the 88 of Chuck Darling. Chuck, we just got a chance to chat with that race number 8 replay. He finished P number 2. He starts here tonight, P number 2. Zach Nichols in the 44 machine will roll off in 3rd. Pete Dillon in the 7 will start in 4th. Brett Hahn in the 71 will start 5th. 6th going to the 51 of Ron Hart. Tanner Tallarico in the 1 machine, he will start in 7th. Travis Wright in the 10 will start in 8th. Hayden Swank in the 35 will roll off 9th. And rounding out the top 10 will be the 52 of Jeff Dillon. Jackson Cook in the 83 machine, he will start in 11th. And Andrew Payne here tonight after the win the previous week here in the American Sim Racing Club Street Stock Series will start in 12th and walk away with the quick time here tonight. Rolling off 13th is the 70 machine of Seth Harrelson. TJ Hassan will start in 14th, and John DeMeester in the 2 machine will round out the field here tonight. So 15 drivers getting ready to rock and roll, and we get ready to turn them on loose in just a short amount of time. Kind of an interesting fact here coming into tonight. Our pole sitter Stephen Hoffman having 0 laps here in this one. Did not take a qualifying time. Did not do any laps in practice. So it should be really interesting to see what the 86 machine can do for these 100 laps. As here we go, it's going to be Hoffman and Darling on the front row here as the iRacing Pace Truck makes the late left-hand turn down to pit road. As Stephen Hoffman on the loud pedal here, we go green flag racing here at Langley. Hoffman already down and away, clear into turn number 1. Now Darling will try and follow in line. Hoffman will drift up, block that 88 machine. Darling now stuck up in lane number 2 here for the time being. Rest of the field 2 by 2 here as lap number 1 down and away. Darling starting to pick up some and carry some momentum up in that 2nd lane, as that bottom side is going to be the preferred lane around this short little bullring racetrack. But man, Darling pushing that envelope. He is now having the race lead at the stripe last time by, so Darling definitely carrying some good momentum up in lane number 2 for the time being. And once again, Darling will lead at the stripe, so finding some pace up in that 2nd lane as a great battle out in front. Further on back here, Jeff Dillon getting around John DeMeester. Same with Zach Nichols. It looks like Seth Harrelson here way back on the pack. Not sure if the 70 machine had an issue. TJ Hassan also back here as well, but that battle for the race lead now may be done and over with as Chuck Darling out in front leading the way here now. Darling will give Hoffman a chance there, give him some room, but now the 88 machine down to the bottom side. Pete Dillon big time sideways into turn number 1 there. Side-by-side battle once again for that second position as Pete Dillon definitely on the loud pedal here, definitely trying to get to the front sooner rather than later. And that could also be said for the one machine of Tanner Tallarico. Tallarico now around Hahn, now trying to get around Stephen Hoffman as well. Everyone else throughout the field, though, single filed on out from Hayden Swank on back. Everyone just running in a nice and orderly line for the time being, but I don't see that for super long here, as Pete Dillon now around and trying to track down our race leader. Chuck Darling, though, out in front, has led pretty much since lap number 2 or so. Last week's winner, Andrew Payne, here currently into P number 10, so up 2 positions from where he started, but all over that back bumper of Travis Wright, who is also all over the back bumper of Jackson Cook. Right in front of them, Ron Hart to the inside of Hayden Swank. So Swank, one of those drivers, especially in these street stocks, really good at managing that pace. 3 wide here through 3 and 4, as Swank will say, you know what, no point here in lap number 10 burning off my stuff. Might as well just drop onto the back, keep that race car under me, and wait for the cars to come back to me out in front of me later in this one. Now the field single filed on out last time by, best lap by anyone on the speedway for that 71 machine. So Hahn could be starting to turn it on up just a little bit deeper in the field here. Andrew Payne around Travis Wright. Move Payne now up into P number 8. So now Jackson Cook here starting to put a lot of pressure on the back bumper of Ron Hart. Cook in this black and red 83 machine here, but he's probably putting the pressure on Hart because he knows he's got a quick 93 machine right there on his back bumper as well. So 15 laps already quickly into this one here. So laps, of course, clicking quickly on by. Up in front, battle for the race lead. Pete Dillon to the inside of Chuck Darling. Those two will go side by side here. Darling now up into lane number 2. We'll see if Stephen Hoffman can get a nose to the inside of the 88 machine. Yes, he can. So battle now for second as new race leader Pete Dillon in the 7 machine leads the way here. So Stephen Hoffman here off of turn number 2. Going to be maybe not quite clear from Stephen Hoffman. So those two will stay side by side. Not going to be the case there off of turn number 4 as Hoffman will clear that 88 machine. Move Stephen Hoffman up into second. Tanner Tallarico not going to be close enough to capitalize to get to the inside of Darling. So top 4 once again going to single file on out. And then, yeah, kind of 3 or so packs starting to form. Top 4 all kind of nose to tail. Then Brett Hahn kind of on his own island about 5 car lengths back. Then we go back to pack number 2 here, being led by the 51 machine of Ron Hart. Hart starting to drive on away from Jackson Cook. Now having himself about a 2 to 3 car length advantage over the 83. Andrew Payne now to the inside of Cook. Going to take a peek there. Couldn't quite get the run he needed to put down the power, so we'll fall back into line right behind them. Zach Nichols, Travis Wright right there. And then pack number 3 here. Hayden Swank, Jeff Dillon, John DeMeester all under a pack. Then, of course, TJ Hassan a little bit further on back. Same with the 70 machine of Seth Harrelson. So starting to get a quarter of the way into this one here, and still some decent shakeups in the running order right now. Biggest movers being the 93 machine of Andrew Payne, as well as the 44 machine of Zach Nichols. Both those drivers electing to take an EOL start at the back of the field. Both those cars right now inside of the top 10 here for the time being. So Pete Dillon will be the first driver in this number 7 machine to see 25 laps started here tonight. So already a quarter of the way through this one, and that is because, you know, lap time's just over 16 seconds or so. So, you know, we can get just about 4 laps done in a minute. So lap times, of course, quickly clicking on off here at the short bull ring of Langley Speedway. Zach Nichols here on lap 26, running his best lap time of the night at 16.89 for the 44 machine. That is definitely a little bit better than most of the rest of the field out there on the track, as most people are into the 16.9s or so. So this 44 machine starting to pick it back up. That is because he can see that time difference to the race leader if this race goes green to the end, which it has a very good chance of doing. Nichols about 5.5 seconds back, so gonna have to make his way on up and pick up a lot of pace there as race leader Pete Dillon into the wall just a little bit down the back straightaway. That now moves Stephen Hoffman up to the back bumper of Dillon here. So a battle for the race lead here starting to shape on up as Stephen Hoffman starting to put a lot of pressure on Pete Dillon. Let's ride on board here with Stephen Hoffman, see where he is kind of gaining on Dillon, and it definitely seems like corner entry and especially the middle time. Let's take a few laps here, ride on board with Stephen Hoffman around Langley Raceway here. Hoffman big time into the back bumper of Pete Dillon there. Of course, kind of courteous there, allows the 7 car to gather back on up. Hoffman will try and set his head back here to the coals and trying to pick back up the pace, get back to the back bumper of that 7 machine, and gonna do that there pretty quickly as he is already back to that back bumper here as we see Hoffman a little bit easier, a little bit higher entry into the corner, really trying to focus on that center corner speed as well as that exit off, because like we've seen many a times this season, you know, these drivers have to be careful of that right front and that right rear wearing on away later in this race. So Hans starting to lose touch from that top 4. Tanner Tallarico all over the back bumper of Chuck Darling as well. Hart now starting to run down the 71. Same with the 83 of Cook. So Han could be a little bit off of the pace maybe here of what he needs to do, because still a lot of racing left, but about 3 seconds back. Definitely going to have to start turning it back up here at some point. As already a third of the way done. Last time on by here looking at lap time, some of the best drivers on the speedway is this pack right here. Andrew Payne, Jackson Cook, Zach Nichols, all these cars right around a 17.0, whereas the leaders are about 17.1. So these guys picking up a 10th or so, but that's definitely not going to be enough times. I mean, 4 seconds plus back for these guys. That's going to take about 40 laps to get on by. As Chuck Darling here sound like maybe got moved or definitely sideways. I heard a little bit of tire squeal, and Tanner Tallarico on around him. So Tallarico up into 3rd. Like I said, a 10th advantage, you know, can be a lot, but you know, that takes about 40 laps. That only leaves about 20 laps. That doesn't include, you know, trying to get around 7 or so plus drivers in front of you. So those drivers further on back, you know, are gonna have to start picking up the pace if there is no caution. I mean, first 40 laps clean and green here tonight at Langley. And I mean, right there, that last time by Pete Dillon, the fastest car out there on the speedway. So now this top 3 starting to kind of flip the switch as well. I mean, we've seen big time tire fall offs late in a run. So, you know, that could be very much the case here later in this run. But like I said, the pace, at least currently, everyone very, very similar. So no one's going to be able to really run down another car, at least for the time being. You pretty much have to either wait for the driver in front of you to make a big mistake, get loose, hit the wall, overdrive a corner, miss the bottom, or else the other thing is, especially with these street stocks, get out there and lean on the car in front of you. Luckily, these street stocks allow that, as we see riding on board here with TJ Hassan, Seth Harrelson able to get on by, and those two going to have to maybe try and pick up the pace because the race leaders here within the same straightaway. You can see these race cars trying to get every inch of racetrack out of Langley Speedway, down on the bottom, sometimes down on the apron, almost to the grass, and then especially down this back straightaway, trying to arc that race car all the way to the wall and not hit that wall. As big time sideways for our race leader, Pete Dillon, grabbed that apron, grabbed that paint there, and that really turned that set machine sideways. So Pete Dillon once again sideways. So maybe this race leader starting to lose that right rear tire here tonight, and that you hope you're not having that this early, as we're still just barely in the first half of this race. But if you start losing that tire here this early, getting it hot, man, you are in for a long night here in this one. We click on over to lap 49. Chuck Darling here starting to lose touch of the top three as well. Brett Hahn now about within a half a second of one another. Then behind him, Ron Hart still about that second gap or so. And Hart still having a lot of pressure from Cook, Payne, and Zach Nichols all right behind them as well. Up in front, Stephen Hoffman continues to put the pressure on Pete Dillon, but this time by for the 7 machine, he will be the first to see cross flags here tonight. Halfway down, halfway home here in race number 12 at Langley. Tanner Tallarico also right there as well. Tallarico looking for his first ever street stock win, series admin in this series, but he knows that these drivers are very good, can trust them out there on the speedway, and decides to jump in them, you know, later in the season. And right now he's very much in contention of this win as Pete Dillon sideways. Pete Dillon now contact by Stephen Hoffman. Those two gonna trade some paint, and Stephen Hoffman, our pole sitter, back to the point here. Pete Dillon there through 3 and 4, big time sideways. So that 7 machine looks like gonna be more and more of a handful in the second half of this race. So now Tanner Tallarico on the back bumper of our race leader. We'll see what Tallarico can do with that 86 machine. Jackson Cook now all over the back bumper of Hart. This could definitely be a caution between these four, as these guys running very, very close to one another. As contact there, Andrew Payne into the back of Jackson Cook. Everyone able to keep their race cars facing in that right direction there, but definitely some tire heating going on, especially with a big slide, a big shot in the shorts, and that's where a driver may have to start to consider what they want to do. Either hold up another driver, you know, keep that track position, but you could really start to use up a tire, start to really get that rear bumper beaten on off. As Payne once again takes beat to the inside of Cook. Cook once again very good on corner exit, able to hang on and hang on to that 7 spot. And I'm sure Cook, looking at that running order, really wants to hang on to P number 7, because if we do get a caution, that means that 83 machine gets to start on the inside lane and restart in that preferred lane. So with us heading on over here to about lap 60 or so, what do we say we do a little turn 3, turn it up on the shortest track on the schedule here this season. It's a little turn 3, turn it up here tonight at Langley Motor Speedway. And we can see there under that turn 3, turn it up, leaders into some lap traffic, as well as some change for positions. Chuck Darling now up into third, having a lapper of John DeMeester out there in front of him. Brett Hahn around Pete Dillon, as well as Zach Nichols getting around Andrew Payne for the 8th position. Ryan on board there for a second with Chuck Darling, as Darling trying to get around that 2 machine, going to do that down that front straightaway. But Stephen Hoffman now having a little bit of cushion over Tanner Tallarico, as Hoffman now going to work over another lap car, as Pete Dillon has fallen back to this pack, and that 7 machine still looking very, very loose, as he will lose a spot to Cook, Nichols, and probably to Payne here in a lap or so. So 2/3 of the night done and over with here in this one. 3 wide action there for a split second through 3 and 4. As Pete Dillon, though, up in that second lane, that's going to be even more tough for that 7 machine, because we could see, especially with those speed shots, there's a lot of Marlboros built on up, no caution to get those cleaned on off, anything like that. So that second lane is going to be very, very treacherous, as Pete Dillon just trying to hang onto that race car as that right rear continues to go more and more away. Out in front, Stephen Hoffman about a second advantage now over Tanner Tallarico in second. So Hoffman absolutely nailing the pace here in this one, and has yet to really get sideways too many times. Further on back here, Zach Nichols working on over Jackson Cook and able to get on around him. So move Nichols now up into 5th as he tries to run down now Ron Hart. Cook able to quickly get back down to the bottom side in front of Andrew Payne. So Payne will stay in 8th. Cook will hang on to 7th for the time being. But you got to wonder, how much longer can that be? I mean, Payne has put pressure on the back bumper as on that 83. It seems like all night long. So we'll see if that continues to be the case, as that is still definitely the case here currently. So the field has lapped up into, 13th position now. Seth Harrelson, the next one, in danger of going a lap down. Hoffman now within 2 car lengths, and if Hoffman can get around the 70 machine, I mean, he's going to have a lot of clean and green racetrack up in front of him, as the next car will be Hayden Swank. Swank, of course, by himself there in turns 1 and 2. 75 clean and green laps done with here tonight. Tanner Tallarico starting to lose the pace a little bit in that 1 machine. Chuck Darling able to get around, same with the 71 machine of Brett Hahn. So luckily for Tallarico, can have a little bit of time to kind of cool off that right rear if needed, fall back in line here before they get to Ron Hart in that 51 machine. This time by, we get into the countdown clock here. Now 24 laps left tonight here in this one. Currently Seth Harrelson in that lucky dog spot. Stephen Hoffman able to cleanly get on around him. So Hoffman now into wide open racetrack further on back here. Now here comes Travis Wright and Jeff Dillon starting to track down that number 10 machine. Excuse me, that 7 machine of Pete Dillon. So Dillon was our race leader, you know, 50 laps ago, but definitely has been paying the price as that 7 machine definitely out of sorts. And Pete Dillon will go on around into turn number 1. That will bring out our first caution here of the evening on lap 22. So our first caution of the night coming late in this one. And I'm sure Stephen Hoffman not excited to see that, as that will erase that over second advantage for that 86 machine. And with this caution, that will actually it will be the 70 machine of Seth Harrelson going to be the lucky dog here in this one. So Harrelson will get his lap back here, go around the pace car. So that'll put about 13 cars here on the lead lap. And the bummer for Pete Dillon, I mean, we saw him, you know, continue to get looser and looser. But with that slide too, you know, that's going to only make that tire worse. And, you know, with this street stock series, no tire set over the wall. So whatever your tires were, you're going to have to finish with those set of tires. And we've seen many times this season tires below that 10%. And when that happens, it's like you just got an ice cube for that tire. Absolutely no traction, no give in that. So it's going to be really interesting to see on this restart. It's going to really reward whoever really took care of their stuff. Maybe one of the biggest winners from this caution is that 35 machine of Hayden Swank. Swank has been doing a really good job at keeping a really kind of slow pace to keep those tires underneath him, as this time by Stephen Hoffman going to choose that bottom side. So the field will re-rack, restack, and we get ready to get back to green flag racing with under a 20 lap shootout here tonight at Langley. Once again, just like the start of this race, it's going to be Stephen Hoffman, Chuck Darling on the front row. The iRacing Pace Truck here heads down into pit road, and Stephen Hoffman on the loud pedal here. He will get a great jump on the field, and we go back to green flag racing here, 3 wide into turn number 1 as Ron Hart to the inside of Brett Hahn. Hahn will get a good run there, but Tallarico still stuck up in that second lane here. Chuck Darling able to get back down to the bottom in P number 2, so that outside lane, he doesn't have to be up there for long, as here we go. Now is the time to go. Whatever you have saved on up there in the race car, you are wanting to push whatever you have left. As Hart able to get around Tallarico. Now here comes Zach Nichols to the inside of the number 1. Those two will now go side by side. Further on back here, Andrew Payne stuck up in that second lane. Payne will finally get an opening there back into 10th, as Hayden Swank able to get on by. So that Purple People Eater 35 machine, like I said, keep an eye on him. He took the pace really easy for these first about 80 or so laps. He could definitely be charging here late, as Tallarico loose down the back straightaway. He continues to try and hope for some sort of gap in the racetrack here. Still can't get it, as now Jeff Dillon to the inside of Tallarico. So that one car definitely on the wrong side of the frame train. Up towards the front here, top 3 kind of breaking on away from the rest of the field here, as now Travis Wright to the inside of Jackson Cook. This is now battle for P number 6 here. So like I said, top 3 kind of broken on away. Then right behind them, all those cars right under a blanket. Zach Nichols there gives Ron Hart a little bit of shot there. Now Travis Wright gives Nichols a huge shot there through 1 and 2. Everyone will somehow save those race cars. Contact not done yet as Hayden Swank, Zach Nichols now going to lean on each other. Right behind them, Payne, Cook, and Dillon now trade some pain. Like I said, everyone knows it's go time from here on out. Last time by at the stripe, 10 to go. And it is elbows out racing here late in this one. Now it's going to be 9 to go at the stripe. Zach Nichols here hanging on to P number 6. Hayden Swank now inside of the top 5 with a little bit of lady luck there, being in the right place at the right time. Travis Wright here drops back to 10th. And I tell you what, courteous move by Travis Wright getting into the back there of Nichols. Lifted big time, cost himself a lot of track position, but definitely a good sportsman move from that. Out in front, though, Stephen Hoffman starting to drive on away from Chuck Darling. Hoffman now starting to stretch out that lead to almost a second advantage. So this 86 machine has nailed the pace here tonight, and he is continuing to drive away from the field. This is now Stephen Hoffman's race to lose. 6 to go that time by at the stripe, and everyone kind of running single file for the time being, though. Hayden Swank has run down Ron Hart now on the back bumper of that 51 machine. We saw Zach Nichols, of course, get held up quite a few laps by the 51. Can Swank get on by here, because he knows now it's only 5 to go. It is go time. It is not the time for patience. If you get to that back bumper, you are probably giving it some taps here right on away. Further on back as well, Travis Wright here to the inside of Andrew Payne. He will be able to complete the pass right there through 1 and 2. So Travis Wright here back into 9th here down the back straightaway. Swank with a big time move to the inside of Hart. He will now drive up into 4th. Hart and Nichols now going to trade some paint now for that 5th position. Nichols down low, Hart up top. He will try and defend as long as he can, though. Hart big time slide through turns 3 and 4. That opens up the door here for Jackson Cook. And look at this, Pete Dillon in there as well. That time by from the flagman, popsicle sticks up in the air. It is 2 to go here tonight at Langley. John and Meester going to stay up and out of the way. Final lap here in this one. White flag is out as Jeff Dillon to the inside of Jackson Cook. Those two will go side by side. Ron Hart maybe with the crossover further on up towards the front, though. It will be Stephen Hoffman picking up the win. Chuck Darling will bring it home in 3rd, and Brett Hahn will finish on the podium, just holding off Hayden Swank there in 4th. And Zach Nichols once again going to walk away here tonight in a street stock race with a top 5 finish. As Stephen Hoffman here will burn it on down, celebrate this win. He'll loop it there off of turn number 4. And I tell you what, Stephen Hoffman is definitely pumped on up to pick up yet another career win, this time here tonight, coming at Langley Motor Speedway here in the street stocks. As that will do it here for celebrations. Don't go anywhere, folks. We will be right back after a quick commercial break here for the race recap of race number 12 at Langley Motor Speedway.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Sorry about that, folks. We are back here at Langley Motor Speedway chatting with another time here tonight on a Monday night. The runner-up finisher, the 88 machine of Chuck Darling. Chuck, do you got a copy once again here?
Yeah, 2 times in one night. It's a pleasure, Brett.
Yeah, that it is. I know, right? Kind of weird on a Monday night, but, you know, we got to go enjoy these races. And, man, what a race it was last Wednesday night here at Langley, right?
Yeah, it was. Once again, some of these tracks, I don't really care for, but I seem to do good at. The last time we ran here, when I got the lead, I was able to pace and have a 5-second lead until a late caution. And this one had a great battle with Steven there and hanging on the outside and getting the lead and leading a few laps. And then it was, a kind of a little tricky hanging on there for a while. And, Pete got past me and then I dropped back a little bit and Tanner got past me and I was like trying to figure out the pace to run. And man, I couldn't quite figure it out. And then I finally, got back up there to second and tried to make a charge on Steven. And, well, she got a little too snappy loose and had a good battle with you as well. And yeah, was just having a good time, man.
Yeah, that it seemed like, and I tell you what, man, I was giving it my all on your back bumper there to try and get on around you, but I tell you what, making no mistakes you did there tonight, and I tell you what, it paid off. You're able to hold off me and come home with yet another runner-up finish on the season.
Yeah, runner up, like I said, if you finish in the top 3, if you finish on the podium, I'd even say if you finish in the top 5 in this league with a caliber of talent, it's almost as good as a win. You come out here and you try to figure out the strategies of what lines to run, how hard you want to push it. And when you hit it right, it's right. When it's wrong, well, it can go really bad and fast. But, this race and a couple of the other ones have been pretty good to me. So, yeah, it's not been too bad of a season.
Yeah, that it hasn't because, looking overall, I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on the points, Chuck, but coming into, championship week here this week on Wednesday night, you come in 1 point behind Jeff Dillon and 9 points behind Hayden Swank there, third in points. So, a good race at Nashville Fairgrounds. You could be walking away with a podium finish in the championship as well.
That would be super cool to do. We talked about it earlier. I've had such bad luck. Usually happens every season. I'll run good for a while and then I'll have a string of bad luck and it'll knock me down in the points. And it makes me wonder what would have happened if I would have had those bad races turn good, where I'd be at in the points. But you come out every Tuesday, every Wednesday, you try to have as much fun as possible. I'm ultra competitive. I want to finish top 3 at least every week. But like I said, if I finish top 5, top 3, with the caliber of the drivers that are in this league, it's like a win. It's nice to come out, have a place to race, have fun, test your abilities against some of the best in sim racing.
Yeah, that we do each and every week. And yeah, Chuck, like I said, championship week here this week, Nashville Fairgrounds. How you feeling for that on Tuesday night with the super late models? And of course, the big night Wednesday night as well with the street stocks.
Nashville's one of those tracks that I actually like. I haven't had the finishes that I want, but the racing is usually really good. The super lates I've not done really great this season, so I'm hoping for at least a top five finish. And in the street stocks, I don't know. We'll see what the setup is like. I think it was last season or a couple seasons ago when we ran. I pushed it way too hard too early, and it got so snappy loose at the end that I was hanging on for dear life, and I think I wrecked twice at the end. So we're going to try and be a little bit more patient in this one, and hopefully get back on the podium, get interviewed again, and maybe claw up to a third place in the points. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Chuck, overall in this season, another kind of fun fact for you, you have the third best finishing average of anyone in the season, averaging right around a seventh place, finish. And, Zach Nichols, I think, is like a 4 or so, and then myself with a 6. So you're right there as well with those finishes. Even, with those bad luck, you've put together a pretty solid season, all things considered.
Yeah, that usually has happened ever since I joined the league since its inception. You'll get going good, you'll have good runs, something will happen. I think I've pretty much stayed pretty consistent, finishing top 10 in points ever since the inception of the ASRC.
Yeah, that you have. You've always been one of those consistent drivers here most every night, and we appreciate that big time here with that. And yeah, we kind of. I don't know if Dave's mentioned it or you put too much thought in it as well, but summertime Sizzler series, not going to be broadcasted, but mini stocks as well as the ARCA car during the summer here, that could be pretty fun as well, right? Just to jump on here and try something a little bit different.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm gonna be doing. I'd have to buy the ARCA car and some of the tracks. I know the mini stocks, came with one of the updates, and there's a couple of tracks that I don't have, and I don't know if I really want to get them just to race them basically like one time because I'm a short track guy at heart. I don't mind like the intermediate tracks. Uh, the dirt, we've done that here in the league before, and it's all right, but I think it'll be fun to kind of like experiment and see, what happens with the different car combo, track combos, mini stocks on the Millbridge Speedway and at the Chili Bowl might be pretty darn interesting.
Oh, that it will be. I think, we see some beating and banging here with the street stocks, but I think we'll see even more of that, especially at those tiny tracks like you just said there.
Yeah, I hope everybody has their tempers in check on that. I mean, it'll be a little bit more laid back, with it be more like of a fun thing to do because we're doing every other week with the racing. But yeah, it'll get some good practice for the off season. Like the run in the dirt will, help a little bit with car control. But I'm looking forward to the short tracks. I'm a super late model and I'm a street stock guy. So when the fall and winter season runs back around, that'll be when I'll turn it back up.
Yeah, that of course in the works already, planning that stuff on out. And yeah, we look forward to always seeing that 88 machine out there on the speedway here. And yeah, Chuck, once again, another great night for you. Took the lead, led some laps, a runner-up finish. Overall, a pretty good night. What do you think you needed to maybe beat Steven there at the end in this race car?
Uh, More patience. When I got the lead, I should have just ran my pace, and I think I was pushing a little too hard too early, and got that right rear heated up a little more than what I wanted to. And then when I realized that I was losing spots, it was just like, okay, let me jump back, cool it down. I'm not much for riding around and waiting, but I think sometimes that's the key with the street stocks. You gotta wait until about like maybe 40 to go. A couple of races I've done that before. But all of us, we get behind the wheel, and sometimes that thought process goes out the window. So it's just got to be a key of, finding that balance of, aggression, and then, temper it with a little bit more patience to try and preserve that right rear tire so it stays on for the entire race.
Yeah, that is definitely the key, especially with these cars, because we've seen, I mean, even tonight we saw Pete Dillon, start to lose that right rear, his car be a handful. And yeah, I think that 40 lap mark might be pretty good, because as I've been up in the booth, taking a little bit of notes of kind of rewatching this, seeing stuff, and I think both times Zach Nichols, always a good reference to kind of have. I think both times Zach, his best lap in both races was right about that 30 to 40 lap mark. So you might be right on it with that number there.
Yeah, but then you gotta be careful, because if you fall, you don't want to fall back too far, saving your tires, because you can't really rely on a late race caution or getting a lucky dog if you get lapped or anything like that. Like I said, you got to walk that fine line and figure out when it's time to go. Nashville is going to be like kind of a crapshoot. We'll see what happens. I thought I'd pace myself at Southern National, and I had a great battle with Zane Cruz, and then later on I was running the low line and everybody picked the high line. So that's another thing that'll come into play. Which groove is going to be the one that will, be the one to pick at the right time? So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to next week,
Yeah,
or Tuesday and Wednesday, I should say.
yeah, this week's going to be a good one, because, like you said, that track, high speeds, is going to be even more wear on tires, even more temperatures. It's going to pay off who nails the pace and save to that magic spot without giving that too much track position. Like you said, Chuck, walk that fine line on that tightrope.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. The street stocks, especially the late models, you can kind of get away with it. Like, I fell back in one of the races trying to save my stuff, and had you and a couple other guys get past me, and I was like, okay. And then the race went on, and I'm like, well, I should be closing, and I wasn't closing, and I was like, I was trying to drive as hard as I could. So it's just hit or miss, like what you got to do with each car. So it'll be a challenge, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yep, that we will. And we look forward to seeing you out on track and see what you can end up doing there as well. So, Chuck, for the final time here tonight, we're going to go hand over the mic to you and have you thank who you got to thank here for another runner-up finish, whether sponsors, teammates, or anyone else you'd like to give a shout-out to on the YouTube chat lands here.
Oh, thanks again, Brett. Thanks to you first for going back and doing these broadcasts. We really appreciate it. When you get a good run, it's nice to have that, to be able to go back and watch and get talked to on the podium. Got to thank Turn 3. Got to thank Tanner, all the admins, ASRC. Got to thank LaPlante, Premier Racing Setups, Boardwalk Subs, Postma Flooring. Then on my car, Brenda's Quilted Memories. Like I said, you can check out her Facebook page. She does some great quilts. There's awesome pictures on there of those and the custom bears that she's been doing. So if anybody's looking for a memory bear or a memory quilt or anything like that, reach out to her. My buddy Brad Bergevin, Dead Short Race Car Wiring, can't forget him. Once again, didn't suck in this race. So there you go, Brad. Got to thank our buddy Kyle Trinkline, Flipper's Garage on YouTube. Go check him out. He's going to hopefully make his debut at Berlin Speedway with his Outlaw Super Late model this Saturday. We're going to be tuning in on Racing America to catch that and cheer him on. Got to thank Bob and Stephanie Heil, See How We Racing. I'm adopted as, I guess, one of their teammates, kind of ish, mostly because I wreck it more than send it. And the B&C Racing, my lovely wife, Brenda.
Alrighty, awesome stuff, Chuck. Once again, thank you, my man, for taking your time out of kind of a not normal night to chat with us, as well as that great participation you and support you have shown ASRC, man. It's always great to race around you out on track.
Yes, sir. You too, Brett. There's a lot of great guys in this league, and have a blast. I got to shout out my teammate, Ron Hart. Pete Dillon's in there with us too, but Ron's kind of like the guy that's got me to the point to be like a little bit more aggressive, and kind of push it a little bit more. So I appreciate that. And also shout out Nate and Alex, even though they may not watch, but I'll shout them out anyway.
Yeah, awesome stuff there, Chuck. Well, now we can finally let you get to bed here tonight and get you on ready for championship week here Tuesday and Wednesday night. So you, my man, have a good one, and we'll see you out on track Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, Brett. Thanks again for all you did tonight, and we will see you tomorrow night, bud.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. Thanks again, Chuck, and thank you for your support once again. And yeah, that would do it here tonight from Langley with the race replay. Chuck Darling bringing it home in that second position. Stephen Hoffman, I believe career win number, I want to say 6 or so. Let me double check just to see. And yeah, I believe it's that number. Let me trying to quickly look here at the stats. I had it up in front of me, but yeah, I believe either career win 6 or 7 for the 86 machine. He comes away with the win here. Chuck Darling in second, and actually yours truly, myself, in third. So that was pretty cool to end up on the podium there. And yeah, I think I just needed to keep that right front under me a little bit more. I just couldn't have that turn there at the end that I needed. And but overall, I think I nailed the pace pretty good. But man, I tell you what, Stephen Hoffman was on his pace of his own. Hayden Swank will finish in the 4th position. Zach Nichols will once again get another top 5. He will finish in 5th. Jackson Cook, a great run for him, will bring it home in 6th. 7th, going to Jeff Dillon in the 52. Ron Hart will finish in 8th. Travis Wright in 9th. And Andrew Payne will round out the top 10. Seth Harrelson will bring it home 11th. 12th, going to Tanner Tallarico. Pete Dillon in 13th. Then TJ Hassan 14th. And John DeMeester rounding out the field here tonight. So, like I said here, folks, be sure to tune in this week, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night, championship night, for the spring series of the American Sim Racing Club before we go on our little summer series break. And then, of course, we'll be back in the fall with Turn 3 Racing Network. So, once again, got to thank all the racers. Got to thank all the sponsors here to support this, the admins for the work behind the scenes, as well as Premier Setup Shops. Find out more about them with the link in the description. And yeah, LaPlante Racing Products, Boardwalk Subs, as well as Postma Flooring. So yeah, that would do it here tonight. Everyone take care, stay safe, and be sure to tune on in to Turn 3 Racing Network tomorrow and Wednesday night. So once again, I've been Brett the Jet in the booth, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.
Premier Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today, and remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.